I can't tell you how many people have asked me about rucking. I figured, hey, I was in the military, but it was in the Air Force. I think I've rucked maybe 3 or 4 times. What do you think about rucking?
I have rucked my fair share. I think to me there's a huge difference between what rucking is and what people think rucking is. When I see civilians or other people rucking, they're running with a considerable amount of weight on their back. For us, rucking is it's a fast-paced walk. Same thing as I'd be doing in a 20-minute walk. I'm trying to walk a mile in 20 minutes, regardless of the terrain you have to navigate. But when I first got through selection, I mean, we do ruck runs and training and all this kind of stuff, monster mash, throwing a 45-pound bag, and you sprint. And the toll it takes on your knees and your lower body cannot be ignored because the miles are only going to add up. And when I transitioned later and got to a much more experienced force, I was shocked to see the workouts they did. It was very simple, but for their cardio, for the rucking aspect, they would put on body armor or a rucksack and they would put the incline treadmill on, whatever, and they would walk for an hour. It's not a fast pace, it's conference. They're watching ESPN, and it's just the duration of having load on you, walking, keeping the same pace throughout. Because that's what a lot of it is. You're walking a considerable amount, and you're never in this. You always have some sort of weight on. And the average guy, just in whatever regiment, whoever you want it to be, 80 to 120 pounds, typically. And then now when they go out and they want to do these ruck runs, they increase that load or they decrease and they try to add speed to it. And I've just seen guys really hurt themselves. Like, you roll an ankle with 80 pounds on, it's very different than when you're slick. And I think a lot of people forget that. It's like, you can't ignore the tactical athlete who's rucking for his job. He has to be so mindful, do not cause an injury because now you have that load on. It's no different. Like, buddy carries are huge in the military. We do a lot of buddy carries. If you roll your ankle with a 250-pound dude on your back, the game is over for you, my friend. It's very different. And that's what I tell guys. Unless it's part of your selection course, save it. Save it until you get through. I'm a huge fan of incline treadmill walks. I just am. We've got the weight vest in there. If I was king for a day, that's what I'd do. I'd put on a 45-pound weight vest, and I'd walk on an incline. And that'd be my version of essentially cardio. Like you can make that as difficult as you want it to be, but the risk for injury is so low. And I see these guys with, there's nothing wrong, go ruck and all this other stuff. Like, it's cool at a certain age. When you crest a hill 35, 40 years old, the pre-existing injuries are stacking up. You start putting heavy amounts of a load on. It takes a physical toll, man. And my knees are pretty decent considering everything I've been through. And I think a lot of it's because I do not ruck run. I do not. You want me to walk with weight on? For sure. To me, rucking has a time and a place, but people confuse it with, I'm going to show you how cool I am. I'm going to try to shoot for an 8-minute mile with 65 pounds on.
Why?
Why?
When I think about rucking, it's not the weight that you carry, it's how you carry it that breaks you down. So I think rucking, like we've talked about this in the past, is the hot points. Like, you should be familiar with where things rub. So you should wear it long enough for you to feel it, but it's dependent upon, like you said, are you about to deploy? Are you about to be going up mountains? Then yeah, you probably should be very familiar about how your ruck feels. If you're stateside, if you are not in a place where you have to wear a ruck, like, that is a lot of wear and tear. And if your posture is not ideal and you are adding 100 pounds on posture that's not good, and now you're leaning forward, you're in a weird position with your back, but then you're still trying to keep your chest up because that's what people say, keep your chest up, and now you're just compounding. Like, gravity never loses. And if you're doing it for long enough, I promise you gravity's going to win. Maybe not that day, but 8 weeks from then, it's going to win. And that's my biggest issue is, like, why are we doing it? Because if we can do it safer, like you said, walking on a treadmill with the weight vest, I got no issues with that. I got no issues. You want to carry weight, you want to hold weight, no issues. But it's like, what's the reason we're doing this? What's the why? Are you about to go through selection? Are y'all going to run? Then yeah, you probably should touch that. You probably should see what that feels like. But if you're not, what do you have to gain from doing that? There are so many other things that you can choose that are safer. It's almost like the concept of Olympic lifting. Nothing wrong with Olympic lifting, but for you, I don't need to have you clean and jerk. I can have you do something different that has the same stress on the body without the complexity of doing something where I have to worry about your wrists or your elbows, because you still got to go shoot later that day and go on the range. We can't afford for you to freaking break your finger or mess up your wrist and now you can't hold something. Like, it's like, why are you doing it? Keep the main thing, which we talked about. But like, what's the purpose? If you can give me a justifiable why, well, I'm about to go screen, I'm about to have selection, well, they're going to put this on me when I deploy, I'm going to have to carry my bags. Yeah, you probably should meet your reality. That's your reality. If not, if you're just doing it for funsies, okay. Like you said, those organizations that do it and they like to bond people together, great. Love that. Community bonding, but it's like, what is the purpose? Can you choose a more effective way to load those positions to get your heart rate up? Sure. I trained one guy, we talked about him in the past, and he was getting ready to go hike. I think it was Peru, whatever those mountains were, and he wore that ruck, or it was a ruck, but backpack that he would have to carry, and he was on a Stairmaster for hours a day.
I remember that.
And I was like, bro, I don't know, man. You got a lot of lower body injuries. I'm like worried. I think you should peel it back a little bit. And he was like, Vernon, I'm going to be walking up that mountain for 10 hours, like one day, and then 10 hours, like something the next day. And he was like, I have to be prepared. And he wore his boots, and he did it on different terrain to kind of build his ankles, so he wasn't like building up those small muscles when he walks up the hill, so that he, if he rolls his ankle, to build up that stability. But that was the only person I knew that really focused on it. But it was for that. Like, he was preparing for that. He wasn't just doing it to be macho or.
In some of the selection courses, they do the Army's huge on it, man. Like, they have these huge 18-milers they push out with significant loads, and they get heavier as the course goes on. I'll just broad brush it and make up numbers just to do it, but they start with 45 pounds, you build up to a 5-miler, then you go to 50, 60, 70. I think when those guys are done, I think they're over 100 pounds or more. Somebody please correct me, but they're going for 18 miles at a clip. It's not a run, but it's a fast pace. But if you have short legs, it instantly becomes a run for you, because the time standard's a time standard. And for you to not know that, yeah, you got to be able to train that. But what I'm saying is, once you're done with selection, in my opinion, running with a ruck on does not help the tactical athlete after selection. It doesn't. The risk for injury is too high. There's already so many ACLs, MCLs, meniscus, and all these other injuries you have from skydiving, jumping, just the normal wear and tear of just being in that lifestyle. That, to me, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Not when I can throw on a 45-pound weight vest or a 60-pound and walk on a treadmill watching ESPN for an hour and a half. Like, I get my kit shake out. I see all my hot spots. It's so common to watch a guy walk into the gym who has his full plate crew on, 2 radios with a rubber gun slung on his back, watching ESPN, just walking for an hour. Like, why is he doing that? He's in deploy in 3 months. He's getting ready. Like, physically, like, you have to build up. Me and Cole talk about that too. Like, could I go out and do the job right now? 100%. Could I throw in all that weight and hike through Afghanistan? No. There's a build-up for that. But if you get hurt on day 2 of your prep, on a 60-day prep, it's over for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't realize it. They just put on 45 pounds and just start running. It's a march. You run when you have to. If you can maintain that same gait and meet the threshold, don't run. How many times in buds people get rolled out of the program because they roll an ankle? That's slick, dude. That's not with a 45-pound weight. It's not with a 100-pound weight. If you roll the ankle, the ride for you is over. It's the same thing on target. If you're running through Afghanistan, you roll an ankle and break your ankle's broken. That's your reality, right? The proprioception you have to build and everything else. In my opinion, you don't get that by just hammering down and wearing a ruck, 5 days a week. It's like, I'm just going to build up my endurance. You're breaking yourself down. You are. And a lot of people, it's almost like a term of endearment.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Like, I'm rucking. Like, you're rucking yourself into the basement is what you're doing. Like, we've got to be able to scale this thing up and down. Like, it's no different training for a marathon. You don't just wake up and run 26 miles every single day. It's not how you do that. It's progressive build-up to the culmination. Like, my final event is an 18-mile forced march at this time speed with this weight. Cool. Let me chip away at that. And once that's done, if I never have to do that again, that's why we talk about, people ask me all the time, when's the last time you did a 4-mile time run? 2010? Like, you don't do them now? No. Why? I don't want to be 185 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't want to. And for me to be able to hold a 6-minute mile at a conversation pace for a 4-mile time run, I have to run a lot.
And you're going to have to take some serious weight off.
Yeah.
Your body's not like you as your body type right now is. You could ruck. I would give you that.
Oh yeah.
But like running, like your body be like, what the like what? We spent the past 4 years building something that can be explosive, that can be powerful, that can be combative. We didn't build this like an endurance machine to just go run for 4 miles.
No.
So it's going to have to peel back. Like your body adapts to the training, it adapts to the needs, to the environment. So I think that's a good way you put it with the rucking. Like it should be a culmination. Like you're preparing for an event and then you work backwards. Yeah. Like if I'm in the Army and I need to go ruck however many miles, it's like, okay, well I know that. So then take it back. Okay, well then I need to ruck a little bit less than that, a little bit of weight, take it back, take it back, take it back. And then it's zooming out and be like, okay, over this 8-week period, I build into this. It's not something I need to do every single day.
And it's funny because if you look at just, we'll call it the tactical population, all of them, firemen, police, military, soft units, whatever. If you look at all those people in their selection courses, they always have a running component. And then when they get through with it, if you ask those guys, how often do you run? Next to none. Because your actual job doesn't require you to run. It requires you to walk. It requires you to have short bouts of, 100% sprint for 100 meters, 50 meters, up 5 flights of stairs, right? Like that's the reality you train for. You don't see very many guys like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I geared up, did an 8 mile. Why? I know it doesn't make you better at your job. But if you'd like to do it, cool. It's like, oh, I'm doing it because I'm trying to maintain my weight. Like I've got an eating problem, so I run to keep my weight off. Awesome.
Okay,
cool. But if we start to adopt this narrative, like I have to do that, I have to do this ruck run and all these things, like, in my opinion, man, there are safer ways to do that. Like I understand you want to hit the optimal end state, me too, and I want you to be there, but I want you to do it safe because I want you to be able to train 52 weeks out of the year. I've blown up my lower back carrying crazy loads in Afghanistan, and it's really just from poor posture. Like I've loaded the carriage too much, and now I'm so physically exhausted. The muscles I need to be able to fire, I can't right now. I feel like Gumby. And you tweak something, I exhale at the wrong moment. It's like, oh no. Reality doesn't care. Mm-hmm. Reality doesn't care. I just slipped a rib and now I can't breathe. It doesn't matter, right? I have to be able to preserve this whole vessel because the end state requires it. And that's a lot of stuff we push now. Like, don't get hurt in the weight room, man. I've been really, really hurt in the gym, and a lot of it's self-induced, and a lot of it was ego-driven. And to me, ruck running goes into that method really, really fast, dude.
Rule number 1 as a coach, people don't get hurt in the gym. Like to me, that's like that no matter you work with tactical, sports, whatever, they get hurt out there. I can't control the variables. Mm-hmm. You cannot get hurt in the gym. Like that is rule number 1. Try to mitigate as many of those injuries as possible. But like I'm not 100% certain. But if you're gonna ruck outside of a firefighter, which considerably that's rucking every day. That I would consider that rucking every day when you're put on the. But outside of that, military, when you're going to be rucking. Like for the most part, you have a window of like, I should be prepared to ruck within this window. Either it's selection or deployment, like when that's coming. So there's no reason for you to be doing it when you don't have the culmination event like you just mentioned. So then it becomes, okay, well, why would I be rucking? Okay, why? Okay, posture, load management, holding something on my body. Okay, then, well, how can we attack that from a different angle? We can do the farmer's carries for the posture. We can build your pillar position, strong back, deadlift, your posterior chain, talk about your posture, your head position, all those things that help, and then building your aerobic capacity with other events or incline walking, as you said. And then when it gets to those points where like, okay, now I'm getting close to deployment, no different than a workup, then it's like, okay, now I put this thing on. I feel where my hot spots are, like you have mentioned. Oh, I'm getting a little weird spot here. Okay, address, get used to carrying something, but you've been carrying a load in the gym through different implements this entire time. So it's not like a shock to your system. Oh, it hit my back. I've been back squatting. I'm used to something sitting on my spine. I've been doing farmer's carries. I'm used to things. I've been doing suitcase carries. I'm used to like my being a little weird. So it's like improving on the traits that you want to, but then not putting that ruck on, if I'm hearing you right, until you get to the point where you need to work towards the event.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't know, and they don't know how to pace themselves, and they don't realize the sum of all parts. Like, you're just breaking yourself down this whole time. There's a way to train smarter, not harder. Like, you have to put that ruck on at some point. You have to.
Yeah.
Like, you need to know how close it needs to be to your back. It starts getting away. Now it breaks your posture. Your chest comes up. Everything, your whole back starts to look like a big S. It's like, we don't want that. Like, we need for you to understand that is your business suit with a slick body armor with radios and magazines. Now you throw a backpack on top. You add a gun. You add a helmet. there is benefit to knowing how to do that, but not if that is the only thing you do. Because you do, man, you get really taxed out fast. And if you look at just a slick plate carrier that an average SWAT team guy would carry, roughly 40 pounds. Let's call it 40 pounds, full magazines, the whole thing. That's a significant amount of weight, man.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, like in my opinion, if you just do that and get on that incline treadmill, walking around, doing your 20-minute walk with body armor on, that's a very safe way to build those repetitions, build that confidence, and then you'll be able to isolate, dude, my right ankle is jammed up after this. Well, imagine if you had 80 pounds on, right? Like, let's build a foundation so solid it can withstand all the duress we're about to put on it. Now, okay, I've been chipping away 3 days a week with this 45-pound plate on, hour on the incline. Okay, we're going to go sea level, and I'm going to go to 80, and I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. Cool. Next time you do it, now we go for 30. Now, we're slowly but surely building up to make sure we're not injuring ourselves. Because I see a lot of guys, not throwing shade at anybody, but guys compare themselves to like a David Goggins, who he's an endurance machine. That is what he does.
Yep.
That dude does not haphazardly throw on a ruck and just send it. He's been building his capacity to do that this whole time, and you can't look at him and go, I'm a dude too, I can send it. No, dude.
You could, maybe just once, though.
Maybe just once, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we've got to be smarter, not harder. We're trying to avoid injury, man. We want you to be there 52 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
And the team that you're training to support needs you at 100%. You blow that thing out, you're gone. You're not making deployment. You're not going to make the big firehouse call or whatever else. It's like, we need for you to be there at 100%. So yeah, for me, what I've seen recently is people put on that ruck is like a forced struggle. They want it to really, really suck, and they don't see how far it's going to put you behind the power curve. Because those tactical athletes, there's no off season. Like, your off season is now. Like, you're about to go get it on. Your gym session is your off season. As soon as you take a shower and put that uniform on, you're on call. Like, can't get hurt, man. Got to be really, really smart. Yeah, I mean, for me, the incline treadmill, 45-pound plate, that's a very safe way to build up your capacity to add load onto it. Not just throw on 80 pounds and start hoofing it down the highway. Don't do that, in my opinion.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. There's a lot of people in the program that have asked, so I hope they take that to heart.
Oh, I mean, I'm never opposed to throwing on a 45-pound, we got that weight vest in there and doing a 20-minute walk.
Great.
Like, I mean, we used to do it for a while. We'd grab that big piece of concrete and be uneven carries. Be a suitcase carrying just grip holds. We just pass it around the group. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can build up your capacity just through consistency all the way through.
Yep.
Not trying to hurt yourself. Not carrying a 150-pound kettlebell out of here. Trying to hold in a suitcase carry for a mile. We're not doing that.
No.
I don't want to slip and hurt myself, right?
Yeah. But you also don't want to turn an exercise into a badge of honor. Like that now, like you said, sets you back. When you didn't need to do it because maybe in 6 months you do have a workup and you do need to actually do that now. So it's like picking and choosing when you do it, preparing yourself properly.
Yep. Smarter, not harder.